When I play our game and then talk, I'm trying, Jennifer.
Rip City, we are back again. It's 2 weeks in a row. We got a streak going. I mean, I don't know, actually. I think 3 in a row has to be a streak. 2 doesn't count as a streak, I don't think. But we are back. We have another episode. So first and foremost, let's get everyone introduced into this podcast. We got Fawad here tonight. Fawad, how are you doing?
I'm good as always. Yeah, you're right. 2 in a row. Let's keep it going.
And then for those of you who may have missed the very first episode because, it was kind of a shock and out of nowhere and nobody said anything about it coming out, we have a new co-host. We have Sean here with us. Sean, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, everybody? I am doing great. Was better before the Sharpe news, but we'll get there. Season's right around the corner, so just looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, here we go. Sean's the master of transitions, I feel like, so we're jumping right into it. I'm starting to think we may be cursed, like us as a podcast, us as a group of people talking about Blazers, because one of the biggest things we were looking forward to was watching Sharpe and seeing him develop this year. And once again, we, as if this trend will never end with him, he is once again injured, and I believe it's the exact same shoulder and the exact same injury he suffered 2 years ago, and he is now out. Last I saw, it was 4 to 6 weeks of no Sharpe. So, first thoughts right off the bat, Sean. What are you thinking? And if I'm wrong about anything I just said, please correct me. But I'm pretty sure last I saw was 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep, I saw the same thing. I mean, it's disappointing. There's definitely no way around that. In a season where you're really hoping to see guys step up like Sharpe, and you need them to take the next step. To not get off on the right foot is disappointing. It's a long season, so hopefully he comes back and it doesn't miss a beat. That's yet to be seen. I will do my best to silver line it in the sense that it's the shoulder again, which I'm starting to worry is a recurring issue, but at least it won't affect like any of his athleticism. That's really important to his game. And there's this big looming question of, this is a guy who's really due for an extension. I believe his team option is at the end of this next offseason. And this is kind of the year we need to figure out who he is. And so that whole situation is going to be looming. We're going to have to see what happens when he comes back. But yeah, it's disappointing. No doubt about it.
So is your silver lining that if he continues to be hurt, we may have a cheaper contract for him?
There's something to be said there. I'm never rooting against the guy's pockets, right? These are, 20, 21-year-olds. So you want to see him do well. It is a competitive advantage to get a guy on a cheaper deal than his market value. That's something that could possibly be in play. But more than anything, it's just such a question mark. And my true silver lining though is it's the shoulder, which again, this guy is so bouncy. He's a great dunker. He's fast, super athletic. We had a chronic knee issue. That's something that could really affect how he plays going forward. The shoulder is obviously not the best spot to get hurt in, but I think if it was a knee issue, I'd be slightly more concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. If it was more than just his shoulder, or definitely knees or ankles, or something with his lower legs, it is definitely to be more concerned with. But like you said, this is his second time happening, same shoulder, same exact injury from my understanding. That's not a good look. He already, in college didn't play because of an injury. So looks like in the 2 years we have had him, he has played 112 games. Who knows, some of those games, he probably played 5-10 minutes at the most, but 112 games out of two seasons. pretty much missed almost half. Well, I think he did miss half a year last year. So, Fawad, what about you? How are you feeling about Sharpe?
Yeah, man, I was devastated. Just last week we were talking about, or I said I think Shaden Sharp's probably who I'm looking forward to most this season, and like 3 days later he gets hurt, so that was really bummy. It's good it's only 4 to 6 weeks and not like a couple months, but it is definitely concerning all the things you guys brought up that it's the same injury as before, and it's a little bit of a history now, so it's concerning that maybe he is just an injury prone player, which is never good. And we are cursed. It's the Portland curse. Any sliver of hope we have, they get a knee injury, they get a shoulder injury, something happens to them. So that was really unfortunate to see. Hopefully he's back as soon as possible. But yeah, that early season would have been good for him to gel with everyone else while they're all getting warmed up as well. So he's probably gonna, when he does make his debut, he's probably gonna be a little bit behind everyone else. Plus, anytime you come off an injury, you're rusty, so it's gonna suck if his first few games are like extra rusty. So, yeah, not great news at all.
And to throw even more salt on the wound, we have also someone who I think we'll probably end up trading anyways, but once again, Robert Williams is hurt. If I recall correctly, we weren't planning on talking about this, but if I recall correctly, he pulled his hamstring or hurt his hamstring, something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe I saw that as well. Yep.
So, I mean, we hardly got to see him last year, and to start the season, he's going to be out. So, I mean, once again, we have two guys right off the bat that we, are looking forward to see, and especially with Robert Williams, where you're hoping he can put some stuff out there so teams will be interested in him. I mean, I'm sure teams are going to be interested in him no matter what, but when you have a player that's constantly missing time, that makes it even harder to try to move him. Or if you are moving him, you're going to get such less value for him because of that. But yeah, it sucks having Shaden Sharpe out. I mean, that hurts the most. Like Fawad just said, we're so looking forward to seeing him play because he brings so much excitement to the team, and we've invested a lot into him, and it sucks not having him out there. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with Shaden Sharpe's injury?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking to kind of what Fawad said about we need to figure out if this is just who he is, if he's an injury-prone guy. About Robert Williams, I think we've seen enough now that this is who he is. And, I think we as fans have to kind of readjust to how the league might look at him. I don't think there's any real significant return or needle moving return that we can get out of the guy. As much as he's flashed on the court and shown some reasonable, consistent play before the Blazers, I mean, this was a problem in his career prior to the Blazers. And I think there's not a ton of teams out there looking for hyper injury prone bigs. That's not a hot market, to my knowledge. And so, it's one thing that it's disappointing we won't get a return from him, in my opinion. But on the other hand, he's never been a part of the core. He was always a trade piece. And so it's not a devastating loss, but I think we do need to sort of relook at how we value him on the open market.
Yeah, I mean, so he's been in the NBA for 6 seasons. So out of 492 games, Robert Williams has played in 215. He played 6 games for us before being out for the rest of the year. The most he's ever played is 61 games. So, I mean, that's not a good look. He's definitely an impact player when he's healthy, but the problem is, as you can see, he's never healthy. So I agree with Sean. It's every year the trade value is very low, and if I don't even honestly recall how did we get him? Was he included in the Drew Holiday trade?
I believe so.
Robert Williams?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were excited. I mean, that trade was a good trade. I felt like we got. I don't know. I was excited for Robert Williams, and I mean, I still am. It sucks that he's always hurt. But let's get away from this depressing stuff. The season hasn't even started yet, and we're already we're already depressed about this. So let's talk about something a little bit more exciting. I will be the first to admit I did look for this. I could not find a single thing about it. I used to be able to watch it on TV. I could not find it. Speaking of TV, if you guys did not hear, Blazer Vision, for those of you that are not able to watch the game, if you're local to Oregon, I think Washington. I just purchased Blazer Vision. You also get 2 free tickets when you pay for Blazer Vision, which is $120. I just got it so I can make sure to watch it and support the Blazers, and finally making a very good business decision and moving away from Root Sports. Once again, I will always dog on Root Sports. But anyways, back to where we were heading. FanFest was a couple days ago. I could not find a single thing about it. Fawad saw a couple things, so we're going to throw it to Fawad to talk a little bit about what he saw. But I don't think there's too much that we saw. So Fawad, take it away.
Yeah, honestly, if you saw nothing, I saw like 2% of it. I couldn't find a stream to watch it. I wanted to, but I wasn't able to find anything. All I saw was basically from the Blazers, like Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and things like that. One was the rookie hazing, which is always like having a rookie sing a song in front of the whole crowd, which Klingon sung I think it was "You Belong with Me" by Taylor Swift. It was for sure a Taylor Swift song, but it was funny. I liked it. It's always fun to see the rookies get embarrassed a little bit. But in terms of the actual play, I didn't see anything, but I heard Denny played good. I think he got MVP, if that was a thing, or maybe people were just saying that like he was the best player. But yeah, the takeaway that I saw was that Denny had a good showing. And then I also saw a Reddit post which had a couple of people sharing their thoughts. The general consensus was, yeah, Denny was amazing and Aiden was really good as well, and he was just having a lot of fun, which is good because he definitely was not having a lot of fun in Phoenix. I think even last year at times I felt like he didn't seem a whole lot engaged, but at times he was. So it's good that he's starting off the season strong here. And I think the few episodes we had last year, I was kind of low on Aiden. I'm still, I'm working my way up to him, and I'm excited to have him. But I think he's even his biggest fans would probably admit that he's better when he's engaged and not as good when he's not engaged. To put it lightly. So it's very good that he does seem engaged. I think he'll have a good, strong start to the season, which is exciting. And then outside of Aiden and Denny, there wasn't really anything too noteworthy. Scoot was a big thing that people wanted to see, but it seems like we either didn't see too much from him, like he didn't play enough, or he played like around the same as he normally does, which might be a little bit disappointing to some people. Wanted to see a bigger jump, but then again, it's just one scrimmage in a fan fest, so even if he didn't play good, it's not a big deal. The only other thing I saw which kind of stood out to me was Delano Banton, who we picked up late last season. He looked like he also played good as well, so that's that's good. I think he'll give us some good minutes this season.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
because we didn't do any podcasts pretty much for the majority of last year. All of these players are people we have not talked about, and I am looking forward to seeing him play. He played great for us last year. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think he's going to get even more minutes now that Sharpe's out. So I'm excited to see him. You were talking
I didn't
about
consider
Aiden.
that.
Yeah,
I didn't consider that Sharpe's injury is going to give him more minutes.
Yeah, we're going to see him more, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm excited to see what he can do. You brought up Aiden not being engaged, and you could tell, at certain points last year. Does that sound like a certain other big man we used to have that would be engaged and then all of a sudden not be? Because it sure sounded like, and it did kind of at times look like Nurkic to me. When he was engaged and fired up, he was.
I mean,
he was him.
You're 100% right about Nurk, but it's like Nurk's my guy, so I don't like talking bad about him.
Oh, by all means, I am not bad mouthing Nurk. I love Nurk. I do not dislike him at all. It's just I do like, when we had those games like against Jokic when he was all fired up and you knew he was going to come out and go, be crazy. And when you get these games where he's 25 points and 15 rebounds and, those were when he was so dominant and you were like, why can you not just do that every single game? Or, every other game do that. And that's how I feel with Ayton too. Like there are times when he can be dominant and we see it and we know he can do it. And it's like he's engaged and he's fired up. And then there's just games when he's like, I stayed up all night playing Fortnite or whatever game he was always playing. He was always talking about. I can't remember what it was. So yeah, I want I want him to just be. I mean, the dude's 7 foot tall with such a long wingspan. I mean, Sean, you weren't here last year when we talked about Ayton. So let's really quickly for you, Sean. How do you feel about Ayton?
Well, just to your point about comparing Nurk and Ayton, which is a good comparison, and what you're saying is correct, and we traded them for each other, so there's a lot there. I mean, there's a big difference in about double the salary out of Ayton, and so that's just a mental lapse you cannot have on a max contract guy. There's no excuse for not playing with full effort. I mean, the guy can't get out of his driveway during a snowstorm when I'm driving to my job, which is just crazy. The talent's there. I would love to see him engaged, but if I'm being honest, I'm not super hopeful about it because if we look at this roster, it's not a competitive roster. We're not going to be fighting for playoff spots. And he was at his most engaged when they're playing in the finals. That's the best basketball he's played in his career.
Very true.
And so we're a tanking team. He has every reason or excuse to slack off. And I would love to see some maturity out of him, but I don't know that we've seen it yet. And kind of the circumstances around this year make me skeptical, but I'm definitely rooting for the guy.
And we're going to touch on all these players so much more now that we're back and we're doing this again. But we wanted to keep this one short, so we're not going to go too far into it. So with that being said, the preseason is starting this Friday. The regular season starts October 23rd. This Friday, we're playing the Clippers. So my question to both you and Fawad is, what are you guys looking forward to during just the preseason itself? Like, what is there something you're looking to see? Like, is it Ayton being engaged a little bit? Is there something specific you're looking forward to seeing? Fawad, we'll start with you.
It's very clear. I want to see how much Scoot has changed, if he has at all. I want to see, I'll be a little bit more specific. I want to see better decision making. I want to see less turnovers. I want to see his playmaking a little bit better, which I mentioned last week. It did improve over the season, but I want to see that continue now as well. So, yeah, better decision making, less turnovers, better passes. Ideally, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake, whatever, would be a better shot as well. But I think that's being a little bit too wishful. So I'll just keep it to what I mentioned already.
For me, with Scoot,
Sean,
he was compared. A lot of people compared him to Scoot was compared to Westbrook a lot. Like they were saying that was his play style. I just want to see flashes of it. Like I don't need it to be like just in my face. Oh yeah, he's just like Westbrook. But if I can see flashes of it, I would be satisfied. Sean, what about you?
I'll say one thing about Scoot, because I think that's the answer all of Rip City's looking for is improvement there. And then I'll give you a different one. But with Scoot, more specifically, I want to see if he's developed a left hand at the rim. I don't know if you guys noticed, the guy always forced his right every single time at the rim and really struggled with finishing. And, for a guy who his jump shot was always going to be his weakness, he needs to be an elite finisher, leverage his athleticism, and be able to finish with both hands. If he's only finishing with his right, it's not good enough to get it done in this league. And so I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that. I'm definitely going to forgive some mistakes given that it's preseason, but if he's at least shown more willingness to take it with his left, I'm going to feel pretty good about that. But my answer for, something separate is I want to see effort out of these guys. There's no reason this team needs to be saving itself up for regular season ball. We know we're tanking. Our GM has basically said that. Our coach has basically said roster's not competitive. I want to see effort and I want to see who wants to be here. We got a team full of young, hungry guys on non-guaranteed contracts, and there's going to be some cream that rises to the top, and I think a lot of it's going to be effort-based. So, I think the culture under Chauncey has been mediocre to subpar, and I just think that this year there's no excuse for not playing harder than the other team, win, loss, or tie. I think we just have that as a consistent part of our identity.
I could not agree with you more, and it's something we talked about last year before we went radio silence. We know that we're not that good of a team. We know that. There is no reason why we should not be working and putting as much effort into each game as we possibly can. I mean, you couldn't have said it better, Sean. There is absolutely no reason why when we're watching these games, we're not seeing dudes diving all over the floor, making hustle plays, getting these extra rebounds. There's no reason. We may not win the game, but we should be seeing this, this hustle, this intensity, especially with all these young guys trying to prove themselves. You can't just go through the motions and be like, yeah, we know we're not that good. We're gonna lose. Why put this much effort into it? We gotta see it. And I agree with you, Sean. I don't feel like that has ever been kind of a focal point since trading Dame and moving off of all that. Was there anything else either of you wanted to talk about regarding preseason?
Just excited to see him back on the court again, man. I know there's been bad news lately, but still love this team, and I'm just, it feels like a little kid on Christmas Eve, ready to see the season tip off. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, it's been killing me to have to see all these other teams playing, and we're not doing nothing. Go for it, for what?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, and I'm excited to see us back on the court after so long.
So the last thing we wanted to talk about before we wrap this podcast up, it's a short one, but that's okay. We mentioned it in our last episode. We're gonna be getting back. We're gonna really focus on the social media, the social engagement. We always kind of had Discord, and we were pretty active in there, and Discord's kind of died down, and that's totally fine. Not we're not concerned with Discord dying down or anything like that. We want to be more engaged. I think Discord is a great place for people to come in and talk, and if when this starts back up and everyone starts chatting in here again, it'll be right back to how it was. I have no doubts about that. But we are going to be a lot more active on Instagram. We're going to be a lot more active on Twitter. As much as I don't even like Twitter, calling it X just seems just as weird. So just like people calling it the Rose Garden instead of Moda Center. So we're going to be active on Twitter. Eventually, we're going to be posting back on Reddit again, posting some polls and other things to talk about. But one thing we wanted to really put out here, and we hope you guys want to do this, is DM us on Instagram, DM us on Twitter, DM us on Discord, or even just chat in Discord itself and ask us questions, give us topics to talk about. Give us one of your takes and let us discuss it. And, even if you want to join in on a podcast and discuss that take, let us know. And we are so open to anything like that. So we're going to have some kind of mailbag, and we want to have people come in with ideas and give us things to talk about. Is there anything you guys want to add to that?
Oh, yeah. We're a smaller pod, just getting back up. And so trying to, discuss questions on air and, giving you guys the opportunity to hear what you really want to hear is something that I think we're in a little bit of a unique position to do. So if you want to hear us talk about it, shoot us a message and we'll do it. We're happy to.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is to have those listener podcasts and get everybody in here and everybody discussing, their thoughts and feelings. And, even if it's not a listeners podcast where we have 6 different people in here talking and it's just a special guest episode where one of you guys are in here talking, those are the most enjoyable, because not only do we get to hear Fawad and Sean and me talk, but now you're getting to hear someone from the outside giving their opinions and their takes. So I've always really enjoyed those. I've always enjoyed answering people's suggestions and questions. So please, if you have absolutely anything you want to talk about, even if it's something like you hate the jerseys or you hate the way the court looks, anything. I mean, literally anything. We are so open to talking and discussing any of that. So please feel free to DM us, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, however you want to get a hold of us. We're open and available to chat about anything you guys want. And like I said, if you want to partake in an episode, we are more than willing to get you guys on here. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring out?
I think we covered it. Preseason around the corner. We'll have lots to discuss next week. But yeah, I think that's all that's going on. Hope Sharpe gets better soon.
All right. Well, then we are going to wrap this up. This was a fairly short podcast. I appreciate everyone that listened to the first episode that we just put out because, like I said, there was no communication that we were putting anything out. And so the fact that we even had more than 5 people listening to it was great to see. But we are going to be putting out episodes consistently. We're really going to put effort into continuing to do that like we used to. So we appreciate you all back here being here for the ride, and we're going to keep this going. And the season's getting started, and we're going to enjoy it as best we can. So I hope you guys all have a great night. And as always, Rip City, baby. Thanks to My Life Pursuing for the music used on the intros and the outros of this podcast. You can check them out on all major streaming platforms at My Life Pursuing.